My name is Alina Ainsworth, and I'm 35 years old. I live in the quiet town of Havenwood, Ohio, a place where everyone knows everyone, and front porch gossip is a competitive sport. My life is simple, predictable, maybe even a little boring, but I like it that way. I work as a librarian, surrounded by stories, while secretly wishing my own life had a little more plot. Little did I know, a chapter of my life, filled with petty grievances and simmering rage, was about to be written by my neighbor, Mr. Thompson. Growing up next to Mr. Thompson was like living next to a perpetually grumpy gnome who had a personal vendetta against Joy. He was a wiry old man with a face like a crumpled newspaper and a voice that could curdle milk. From the moment my family moved in, he made it his mission to make our lives miserable. If the grass wasn't cut to his exacting standards, he'd be out there, yelling about property values and the disgrace we were bringing to the neighborhood. Snow blowing onto his side of the driveway. Prepare for a lecture on civic responsibility delivered with the fury of 1,000 suns. It was constant, relentless, and utterly exhausting. One summer afternoon, I witnessed something that truly crossed the line. My younger sister, Sarah, who was barely 17 at the time, was mowing the lawn. I looked over to see Mr. Thompson was standing on his porch, watching her with a creepy intensity. It made my skin crawl. I stormed outside, ready to tell him off, but he just glared at me and went back inside, muttering something about young people these days. The incident left me shaken and furious. It was clear Mr. Thompson felt entitled to harass and intimidate us, and the constant negativity was taking its toll on my family. The animosity reached a boiling point one winter. We were shoveling the sidewalk in front of our house when Mr. Thompson came charging across his yard, red-faced and screaming. He accused us of throwing snow onto his property, his words laced with venom. He got right in my face, fists clenched, looking like he was ready to throw a punch. I was terrified, but I stood my ground, raising my own fists and telling him that if he came any closer, I would drop him. He stopped, sputtering with rage, and eventually retreated back to his house. We called the police, but they just gave him a warning. Nothing ever seemed to stick to him. He operated above the law in his own mind. I felt helpless, trapped in a cycle of harassment with no way out. Complaining to my parents felt useless. They had tried talking to him before. Calling the authorities seemed futile. I needed to find a way to fight back, to disrupt his reign of terror, but I couldn't stoop to his level. I needed a weapon that wouldn't get me into trouble, something that would truly annoy him. That's when the idea struck me. I remembered Mr. Thompson's open disdain for religion. He was an avowed atheist, always scoffing at the churchgoers and muttering about organized religion. It was a weakness, a chink in his armor, and I was going to exploit it. I went online and found the contact information for the local Jehovah's Witnesses congregation. With a mischievous grin, I filled out a form requesting a visit to Mr. Thompson's house, claiming he was very interested in learning more about their faith. The following Saturday, I watched from my window as two neatly dressed Jehovah's Witnesses approached Mr. Thompson's door. He answered, looking confused and annoyed. I could hear his voice rising in anger as he told them to leave. They politely persisted, but he slammed the door in their faces. I bit back a laugh, feeling a surge of satisfaction. It was a small victory, but it was mine. I didn't stop there. Every time Mr. Thompson pulled one of his stunts, whether it was trimming our trees without permission or yelling at us about the state of our lawn, I would send another request to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Soon, they were regular visitors to his house. He became increasingly agitated, his face turning a shade of purple usually reserved for eggplants. I reveled in his frustration. Over time, my little prank became a kind of ritual. It was my way of fighting back, of reclaiming some power in a situation where I felt powerless. It wasn't a grand act of revenge, but it was enough to keep me sane. It was a secret I guarded closely, never telling a soul, until he went to prison. Years later, after Mr. Thompson was arrested for abusing his wife, the truth came out. I was relieved he was gone. The cycle of torment he imposed on his family and ours was finally over. I finally told my parents about my Jehovah's Witnesses campaign, expecting them to be shocked or disapproving. Instead, they burst out laughing. They had suspected something was up, they told me, but they never imagined it was me. The story of my revenge against Mr. Thompson became a family legend, a tale told at holidays and gatherings. It was a reminder that sometimes, the best way to fight back is with a little bit of wit and a whole lot of persistence. It also reminded me of how important it is to stand up for yourself, even in the face of overwhelming negativity. I had faced down a bully, found a way to protect my family, and learned a valuable lesson about the power of standing your ground. Life in Havenwood returned to normal, or as normal as it could be without Mr. Thompson. The grass grew, the snow fell, and the gossip continued. I went back to my quiet life at the library, surrounded by stories, finally feeling like I had written my own. But then, one day, a package arrived at my door. It was a small, unmarked box with no return address. Curiosity piqued, I opened it. Inside, I found a single, crumpled pamphlet. It was an invitation to a Jehovah's Witnesses meeting. A chill ran down my spine. Had Mr. Thompson found out? Was this his revenge from behind bars? Or was it just a coincidence, a cruel twist of fate? I closed the box, my heart pounding. The story of Alina Ainsworth, the librarian who got revenge on her grumpy neighbor, might not be over after all. Maybe, just maybe, the next chapter was just beginning.